Hey everyone, I'm Alyssa, an Indianapolis Colts cheerleader for the 2024 season, and this is Believe in Colts.
Welcome back to another edition of Believe in Colts. I'm Lawrence Owen, and today we're going to discuss, can Daniel Jones and the Indianapolis Colts duplicate and continue the success that we saw week one? Now, before we get into it, I want to ask everybody that's listening to this on an audio podcast, please leave a review and rate the video. And if you're watching this on YouTube, please smash that like button, hit subscribe if you're not subscribed, and tag that notification bell so that you are notified next time we go live or upload a video. And share this to your favorite social media so that other people can find it and you can really help us get the word out about our show. Now, let's get into it. Now, the question on whether or not the Colts can continue the success that we saw week one is multi-layered. All right. Also, it's also the same with, Daniel Jones, obviously. Now the success, yes, I feel like, are we going to beat everybody 33-8? No. There's zero chance that is going to happen. Okay. However, the most important stat on every game sheet is the W's and the L's. And that we might be able to duplicate. All right. Fact of the matter is that it doesn't matter if you have a quarterback that can throw 300 yards and 4 touchdowns every single game. All right. It's whether or not they do what is needed to win a game. And this Indianapolis Colts team just has so much talent across the board and is built very, very well. Now, currently, right now, against the Denver Broncos, it's going to be an interesting matchup because, let's face it, their defensive line and the Colts' offensive line is going to be a huge storyline. Huge storyline. Whoever wins that matchup is going to probably end up winning this game. But overall, look, the Colts are very, very well balanced across the board, offensively and defensively, when it comes to the starting positions anyhow, right? Daniel Jones is a secure quarterback generally, right? He has a pretty good completion percentage type guy who can use his legs when needed. Now, he does have a history with the New York Giants, obviously, to get rattled and make mistakes, which, causes problems, turnovers, and things of that nature. But that's what the Giants. The Indianapolis Colts are a completely different monster, right? We have a better offensive line. He's going to be better protected. I mean, if this was the Daniel Jones and the Giants versus the Denver Broncos today, I would say that Daniel Jones is about to, lose his mind and, get beat badly. I'd say he probably wouldn't score 13 points in a game against the Denver Broncos if he was on the Giants in this game. But he's not on the Giants. He's on the Indianapolis Colts. He's got weapons. He's got an offensive line. He's got guys who can run the football. He's got safety blankets. And he's got a defense that can help him out, right? Last week against Miami, the defense gave the ball back to Daniel Jones 3 separate times. That's impressive. And that's not even counting when they stop the team on 4th down or, 3 and outs and things of that nature. The times that they force punts. I'm just talking about turnovers. Bo Nix. Look, all right, I'm gonna end it right there because this isn't Colts versus Denver show. This is just Colts going forward. Indianapolis, there's going to be games where Daniel Jones is going to be expected to throw the football 300 yards. He's going to be expected to throw the ball 30, 40 times a game. And then there's going to be games where he's going to be expected to throw the ball 20 times a game because the running game is more effective. This really helps because we have a Shane Steichen-led offense with a team that is very, very balanced. which means Shane Steichen can design his game plan not just around his own players, but around the defense that he's going up against. So he can mix the two and be like, look, I've got, the Denver Broncos are weak against screens or something of that nature. Well, let's focus on that, right? Denver, obviously, they have a very good pass rush, just like supposedly the Miami Dolphins have. So you want to get rid of the ball quicker rather than hold on to it. Well, we got guys for that, okay? But if we go against, a team that their pass rush isn't very good, but their secondary is much, much better, then, you change that up. And, he can hold the football a little bit longer. The defensive line isn't as good, against us, then, we can run the ball more often. But he's also got the defense, Lou Anarumo. The starting defensive line for the Colts, very good. Very good. The second unit has a lot of question marks, as I broke down in my film room. But overall, I think, the secondary for the Indianapolis, the starters, very good football team. All right. We are a little thin upcoming this week with a couple guys nursing some injuries, a concussion, a hamstring here, and, that's something that we're going to have to deal with. But could the Colts have a winning record this year? Make the playoffs? Make some noise? Shock a few people? Absolutely. Absolutely. This is a good unit overall. So it really depends, like I said, Daniel Jones is going to have days like he had last week, and then he's going to have days where he's just not going to throw the ball a whole lot because that's not what the game plan calls for. And I'm okay with that. I am more than okay with that. When you have a team that have weapons all around him, and a coach, play-calling coach, that can focus his game plan around doing things that, the other team doesn't stop very well, that's what I want to see. 100% that's what I want to see. There's going to be games where Tyler Warren gets 7, 8, 9, 10 catches. There's going to be games where he gets 2 or 3. There's going to be games where Jonathan Taylor is going to have, 30 carries. There's going to be games where he has 14, 15 carries. It all really depends upon the team that we're going up against. And that doesn't necessarily mean that they have a bad day. That's just not what the game plan was calling for that week. So it really depends how we got to look at it, as whether or not the Colts get a W or not. All right? And whether or not we're effective in the game plan that that Shane Steichen had installed for that week, him and Jim Bob Cooter. All right? So, yes, in my opinion, Daniel Jones absolutely could be a guy who could get comeback player of the year this year. But there's a lot of teams out there that got very good defense. But there's a lot of teams out there that, secondaries are questionable. So, as long as he doesn't turn the football over, that is the main deal with Daniel Jones. Don't turn the football over. As long as he doesn't do that, then the Colts have a real shot at duplicating success week in and week out. And it's not just Daniel Jones. I mean, come on. All right, so the Colts had 0 drops as a team. That's not going to happen every week. You're going to get a drop here and there. You're going to have bad passes. Daniel Jones had 3 bad passes against Miami. 3. Now, to be fair, out of 29 pass attempts, 3 bad passes, I'll take that day in and day out. And he had, all day to work with, because 75% of his dropbacks, basically, he was not under pressure against a very good defensive line, supposedly, that blitzed over 50% of the time. Shout out to that offensive line. Shout out to the offensive line coach, because they did a heck of a job week 1. And they're going to need to, that is the unit that is going to need to duplicate their success week in and week out. You know, whether or not a wide receiver, a tight end, a quarterback have big days, that's not going to, quite frankly, that's not going to lead to whether or not the Colts win a game that week or not. The offensive line, though, that's the unit that has to be consistent week in and week out. They have to play good football every single game. Whether or not they're pushed on to run block, because, I mean, like I said, there's going to be games where the running game is going to be leaned on a lot more than the passing game, and then vice versa, with the passing game being more leaned on than the running game. Either way, the offensive line has to perform. So that offensive line is the unit that has to perform week in and week out. Same vice versa with the defensive line. All right? There's going to be teams that's going to want to run against us. There's going to be teams that want to pass against us. They have to be able to do both and do it well, no matter what they're called upon to stop. Whether or not they're called upon to get after the quarterback, or whether or not to clog the middle. All right, and stop running lanes, clog running lanes. That front seven has to do their job. Now the secondary, again, Bo Nix, let's just bring up this week, Bo Nix. Okay, he did not perform very well last week against the Titans. Secondary will not be leaned on as heavily, I believe, as the defensive front seven that they were last week. Last week, the Dolphins, you know, you got Waddle and Hill, and, you know, that they were expected to pass a lot more than run the football. And that's exactly what happened. Even though Achane, you know, averaged very good, even with a big run late in the game, you know, with our second unit in, and the game was basically over, he still averaged pretty good during that game. They're going to have to really, you know, dig in and stop the run against the Broncos. Secondary won't be leaned on as heavily this upcoming week as they were the week prior, which is good considering we got a couple guys that are injured. All right, couple starters that, you know, in my opinion, both of them, Jones and Ward, are both starters on this team. I think if Jones is healthy, he probably starts over Xavier Howard. But either way, this is a game and a situation and a season that we're just going to need consistent play from the trenches, offensive line, defensive line, because who knows who's going to, you know, get the call to make the plays on the offense to get that W. Those are my thoughts. I think the Colts absolutely have the manpower and the players across the board to do so. They just have to have a very good game plan, execute, and the trenches have to play. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, because I'd really appreciate what you think. If the Indianapolis Colts beat Denver this week and they go up 2-0 to start the season, which we haven't seen in oh my goodness, long time, how will you feel about the Colts season going forward? You know, that's what I'm curious about. Let me know that. I think that's going to do it. Please don't forget, like I said at the beginning of the video, man, if you're listening to this through an audio podcast, leave a comment, drop a rating, and if you're watching this on YouTube, please smash that like button, hit subscribe if you're not subscribed, tag that notification bell so that you are notified next time we go live or upload a video, and share to your favorite social media. Help out a ton. And apparently on YouTube, there's something out there called Hype, and if you can hype it up, that'd be awesome as well. And as usual, I'm Lawrence Owen. This was Believe in Colts. Go Colts.
Do you believe?